Okay, I've made the writing bigger. It's 120% of the Word document, so it's larger. Scipio Superior, the older Scipio, also quoque and plexus est. He embraced a presidium of Caladatus. So it's like a defense or a strategy of being very cunning is what he's used. 4 Enem, when he was from Sicily, petens Africans, seeking Africa from Sicily. What do we got here? The E fortissimus pedimus. So from the most bravest foot soldiers, he veleted. He wanted to complete, to fill up a number of 300 Roman knights coming from the most bravest foot soldiers. But neque, there was not so suddenly, tem subito, was he posset able to instruere these to get so many. But what? The angustia, the narrowness of time or the shortage of time denied him. He had secutus est. He managed to follow this up, get it done by his sagacity, which is his smartness of his concilium, of his plan. So time denied him, but his brain was working. Namque, it's just the strengthener for nam. For from these juvenibusses, from these young men, quas whom secum with him, all of Sicily, tota Sicily, he had the supine versions, the most noble and richest, Valerius, but they were in arms, they didn't have any weapons. So we had these men, the most noble and richest, but they didn't have any swords, etc. So Tres Centos, 300, which is mentioned again. It was up here, mentioned earlier. What did he do? Quam Kelame, as quickly as possible, a speciosa arms. So these are fancy looking arms, and electos means chosen, horses. So he ordered them to expedere, to it literally comes from impeding, but he ordered them to pick up, you might want to say, or arm themselves as quickly as possible with some fancy armor and horses. Velo, just as if, continuo, immediately, secum with himself, eos, these 300, evecturus, he was about to evict them, he was about to have them carried with him, or travelling with him, to besiege Carthage, oppugnandam, so the gerund. Qui, so these who, cum imperio, what's that, with the order, or when ordered, ut celata, so they got this order, and something happened very quickly, ita. So thus, what do we got in respect of this long or far off and pericursa and dangerous war? That's the genitive version of it. They parvicented. So looks like what's taking the subjunctive means they obeyed from pario, second declension. But they were anxious of mind. So these 300 rich boys, they obeyed. What have we got? Scipio, the nominative, he wanted to remit eos. He allowed them to get out of it. It looks like he's relieved them from this expedition, Elam expedition. If the arms and the horses, they volicented, if they had wanted to hand them over to his militabusses, to his soldiers. So he got them to buy fancy arms and horses and said, okay, you can get out of this battle now since they're so solicitous. And he gave it to his own man, and edicts, it means he made an edict, or he pronounced this, that they could, if they wanted to get out of it, they could do this. Rapuit, something singular, took this condition. We've got the Juventus, okay, so it's a group, but has a singular function in the verb. So the Juventus, these young men, they seized on this condition. They were imbellis, unwarlike and timid, and they ceded with desire suo instrumento, their instruments, their armour and horses and swords, etc., to nostris, to our men. Ergo, therefore, then, the calidus artist, the cunningness of the leader, provided, saw in advance that if something immediately had been ordered, Now I'm going to have to do some typing here because there's something missing. What have we got? Grave. So there's that. G-R-A. Grave. E. Fu. Is it? Okay. Then id. In ten. Okay. So that's what's missing. Must have been a lacuna or something. So if immediately this had been ordered that they buy all these arms and horses, this would have been taken seriously, or grave, or with a heavy intent, prior with this intention, intento and grave. But then, with the remission from their fear, this became a maximum benefit to the soldiers who actually went on the campaign. 7.3.4. So what sequited, what followed? Narandames must be told. Q Fabius Labio, an arbiter, someone who's going to decide something, by the Senatu, by the Senate for declension, was Datus. He was appointed by the Senate for the constituendorum finium. You need to find the consistency of the boundary. You need to make the committee. He was the judge of where there was going to be a boundary inter Nola and the Naples. And when he when he came into the present situation, into the circumstances where he got there, separately, he advised Utrosqui, both of the parties, that having put down any of their greed or desires for the land, that they regret so he's advising them to go backwards. And there's another thing here. I think this is a nodo from the knot of the controversy, from the point that which they preferred to progredo. So they'd wanted to go forwards from their land to find it, but he's saying instead go backwards from it. Okay, continue down here. So idqui, this, when utraque pars, both sides, by the authority of the man, ad motor facicit, had moved, has done as he'd given them instructions. Aliquantum, there was a little bit in the middle of vacant agricultural land relictumes left over. Then with the finibuses, the boundaries constituted or finalised, ipsi terminiver, so where the lands of both sides would terminate, quid, whatever was left of the soil, of the ground, he adjudicated for the Popula Romani, for the Roman people. So I guess they stole some land in a cunning way. Well, we're Keterum. But, let's see, although the Nolani and the Neapolitans were not able to complain, queries complain, they were circumvented, so they'd been tricked. Even though they weren't able to do anything because the opinion, the dicta sentidia, that what had been described as the opinion had been demonstrated through their own actions, basically. The demonstratum ipsorum. So they'd measured the lands out themselves, so they weren't able to really complain. So, nevertheless, an improbo genere, looks like that goes together. Some wicked or bad type of praestigarum, that's like a showing or display, was added to our city. A new type of getting vecticles, which are like taxes or something. So, a new display of earning money. The undum ferent, the same people say, I guess who told this earlier stuff, when by King Antiochus, whom he had superverated, who he had overcome in bello, in war, from a fodere icto, from a tree which had been struck, a dimidium partim, a half part, ought to have been received navium of ships. And he secavissid, he had cut in all of them in the middle, in the medius. So, according to the treaty, looks like the Romans were supposed to get half of the ships. So instead of like dividing 100 ships and taking 50, they cut all of them in half. So that it deprived these people from their tota classe, from all of their fleet. And we'll have a daily dictionary word. Pario was in the subjunctive earlier, meaning to obey, be subject to, obedient to. Second declension, I think I mentioned it. 735. For something, the dative or, for remittendum, something must be left off, and that is convicium. That's like insulting or disparaging to this guy. So he's not going to say bad things about Mark Antonius, who, id circa for this reason, he was saying, himself, had not written any orations. Ut, so that, si quid if something, actum, which was done in a earlier, superior judgment, which posterior afterwards had to be defended, and it could have been harming to him. He said, non dictum, he was able to say, to affirm, that it had not been said by him, because he hadn't written down this script, so no one could say he did it. And because scarcely vix deeds of some sort of shaming or something, he had a tolerable causam or habit or procedure of doing it. Okay, so you put that in English in some way. Definitely it has that shameful sort of aspect to the things he'd done. But all this of not writing it down was just so he could he wouldn't have to defend himself. And again, these are futures here. Defensus is future. Nocatura means harmful in the future. That's pretty much it for the day. Anyway, for annum, for with a head pro periculum, so someone whose head's on the line of danger. Not only would he use utai, his eloquence, but even he would abuse abutai, taking the ablative, even his he was prepared to even abuse his sense of shame, etc. That's it.